So this video is to help myself process my anger that I have towards my family. This is not a video I'm going to share in groups. This is just for me and anybody else who's interested, maybe working through similar. I've noticed that, and I made a video about it before, but I'm kind of even more noticing it now, that the moment that anger comes up, thoughts about what would people say about it kind of squish it down. So it almost feels like the anger goes away, but it doesn't. It actually just gets pushed down with fear. So it's one thing I noticed, that fear pushes down anger. So when we feel like, oh, we're not angry anymore, it's because the fear has came in, because like anger is so intense, and a lot of time it's such a taboo. Maybe not a taboo, but people, like, it's the most intense emotion there is. So we often get afraid of expressing it because we're afraid of the consequences. So people kind of really push it down, and you can see like sometimes how much anger a person has, but they're like acting like they don't have it. So they become kind of passive aggressive with it. So I'm going to try. This is my opportunity to release as much as I can, and notice as I'm doing it how much I'm trying to push it down with fear. Here goes. So one thing, my anger today is coming up about this notion of my parents, since I was a child, telling me to get out. When I was 8, my mom kicked me out. Excuse me. She, after beating the crap out of me all over my body, I was 8 years old, and I get up in the morning for school, got myself dressed and everything, no breakfast. Without even looking at me, she just says, "I never want to see you again. Call your grandparents to come get you." So for a week, I went to school from my grandparents' house. And nobody even said a word about it. Like, nobody was like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, this is your 8-year-old." Nobody. They quickly came, and that's it. My dad never objected, nothing. And then a week later, she calls me and she said, "I miss you, come home." So as a child, I ran back. And then when I was home, like, something that was common is when one of us, when I would like have at least like some civil relationship with one of them, the other one tries to sabotage it, comes in like, "Oh, you guys are close now, well, you'll be fighting soon." So they were doing that tormenting thing. And my mom's like, "Well, if I need to kick her out, I'll do it." So for years after that, I was always told, like, get out of my house, get out of the house if you don't like it. A lot of times. I've tried running away a little bit. And then when I finally did move out, very quickly, they turned into like, I abandoned them. And I actually we live in New York City, so I was just over the bridge in another borough. And we absolutely stayed in touch. I was just like moving on with my life, trying to start a life with somebody. And I would constantly hear that I abandoned them. And then my brother also did the same thing. He moved in with somebody, and also the same thing. We abandoned them. So it's like, on one hand, this get out, get out, get out. When we finally do it, it's like we abandoned them. Same thing, like I'm 36 now and they're telling me to get the hell out of their house for, whenever I'm not, confront them about something, challenge them about something, or I think something they say is just totally ridiculous because they come at me with like the stupidest thing. But without processing that, if I leave, I have all the, I left, I went to another borough, I went to another state, I went to another country, I have every opportunity, I can work in any state, like my career allows, my profession allows me to get licensed in any state, move anywhere, I've done it. So on one hand, they tell me to get the hell out. Another hand, when I start talking about like, it's time to move out of New York in general, that's what I want them to do because it's crazy here. Like, oh, where are you going to go? So that manipulation starts again. So get out, where are you going to go? So there's no logic here, of course, it's just manipulation. So that's one thing that makes me really angry, this manipulation back and forth. There is no winning here, ever. And at the same time, like in my good conscience, like I can't just leave and completely disconnect from all contact because like I know they're stupid. I know they're fucked in the head. I know they're sick. But somebody, when they get old, somebody needs to take care of them because like who's going to do it? I have one sibling, a brother who's just as bad as they are. Like who's going to do it? Like I just feel sorry for them. That's why I came back to New York. I just feel sorry for them because like I kept hearing over the years that I've been away, my dad keeps getting into these accidents. I mean, he got electrocuted. And this next month, I'm driving him to a surgery. He keeps getting surgeries. Like this is why I came back because I knew it's time. And I did it because it's the right thing to do. And there's no appreciation for that, of course. None. There's no realization of that. Like, honestly, I can live anywhere and I came back for them. And I get spit in my face every fucking day. And there's this torment. It's like, either you put up with it because you know that you just try to have like a higher road, but at the same time, try to stand up for myself at the same time because it can really fuck things up because they literally have a mental disorder, both of them. Not diagnosed, but like if I would take them, they would be diagnosed, some kind of personality disorder, something. Or completely disconnect. I mean, I've done it with my brother. I've done it with my aunt and uncle. My grandfather barely talked, but like, again, like he's 98. So I know to take care of him, sometimes I need to step in. I did it with my grandmother because the other cousins just, don't exist. They're all busy. I just do it because it's the right thing to do. Last spring, my grandfather tested positive for COVID and nobody wanted to help. Nobody. Like my uncle was like, oh, I don't want to get sick. My mom's like, you think I do? She's like, I also have a family that I can, if I get sick from it, I can spread it to my husband and my daughter. But, and it was like such chaos of phone calls and everything that like just noise, useless noise that they were like stressing her out even more. And then we just kind of stepped in. I drove her to my grandfather's house. So I was part of like, this is what I want. I want to be able to help. Like, I don't want to leave and abandon. Like, this is not who I am. This is not in my character. But sometimes like their behavior leads me to the point where it's like, you just can't handle it anymore. It is so poisonous. It is so dangerous. So it's like being stuck, and the anger comes up, and this is why I'm making this video, because I need the anger to come up and I need it to come out. And I just started noticing that I'm pushing it down, I'm squishing it. I don't want to be the person that abandons or just goes off, have my own life, and knowing that these people, they're sick. They can't help it. They had a very hard life. I know a lot of it is they just cannot help it. It's like when you're dealing with a sick person, I work with the disabled, like what parents go through with their kids. They don't, a lot of times, well, most parents don't abandon their kids. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they give them up for adoption. Sometimes they kill. But for the most part, like I've seen kids with autism that are severe, and they don't abandon. So like in my good conscience, in my heart, I can't do it. I want to rise above that and have the compassion and just do the right thing. Just, they make it so hard to the point, like most of it, 98% is so unnecessary. Let's just get shit done, My grandpa got sick. He has 2 homemates. They just created a disaster. And then my relatives created a disaster. And my mom, my dad, and I, we just took care of it. That's how I want. Problem, you took care of it. Take care of it. That's it. No drama. There's no need for drama. Very simple things. And a lot of times it's like the simplest things turn into like a huge, 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 huge explosion where you can just take care of it and move on with your life. It's very simple, very easy. They make it so difficult to want to be around them. And they start the manipulation that is somehow my fault. I'm the problem. My relatives do this as well. My brother do this as well. But I barely see them. I haven't seen them in years, and I literally told them I don't want to have anything to do with them. So, I mean, it still bothers me a bit, but it's this manipulation that they do. And another thing, I think in the spiritual sense, looking back, I always feel like I love them more than they ever loved me. It was like always trying to do stuff for them, make things better. And you get spit in the face constantly. Every time you try to do something nice, try to spend time with them, you get constantly spit in the face. Every one of them. And there's just constant complaining and blaming and accusations and just sabotaging kind of behavior. Any word that comes out of your mouth is going to get ridiculed. Anything good you try to do for yourself, it gets sabotaged. mean, I've done a lot of detaching. There's my niece and nephew, like I really wanted to be in their lives, but because my brother and his wife, she's so nauseating, they're so toxic, I'd let go of them. Just wait until they turn 18, and then if they don't brainwash them fully, like turn them against me, maybe I can have some contact with them. But I hated for a while, like missing out on the early years. And like when I did try to spend time with them, my niece and nephew would just like follow me around like a tail. My niece would be like, I think her mom would say something like give her direction, and my niece would look at me first for approval. Like, should I do that? And it was like I spent a few hours with her and I had that influence. Not intentionally, but just by being there, spending time with her, doing something fun. And I always felt guilty because like they need that presence. They don't have any other family, but it's just being around such toxic energy. I mean, how many times I came to my brother's house to visit, give him stuff. I never came empty-handed. I lived on my own and I never came empty-handed. Always stuff for the kids. The last time I went, I drove there like 2 hours straight. And I would visit people often, and like normally people would run out the door to greet you, like just like listening for the car to pull in, and they'd be running out the door to greet you and help you with their stuff. And this was nothing. And I mean, I assume they heard the car. And so I called him like, I'm here. He's like, well, come in. Well, I said, can you help me with my stuff? He's like, how long you planning to be here? I seriously wanted to get in the car and leave. It's like, I'm visiting. I'm not planning to be here. I have a home of my own. I drove here for 2 hours straight after work, actually. I was like, well, I brought stuff for the kids. Can you come help me at least with that? So then they all kind of rolled out of the house. Never went there again. It's been years. So much poison. It's just so sad. And I think the saddest part is like I do love all of them. I think that's the painful part. If I didn't love them, I don't think it wouldn't hurt this much, and I would have left and now I wouldn't care. But it pisses me off that I do love. I do want the best for them. It hurts me to see my mom so overweight and just lying on her ass all day long, just gaining weight. It's just so sad and heartbreaking just to watch, and knowing that you can't help at all. There's nothing, like there's no way to get her to do anything. Like when we get along, I would give her assignments to do, like tasks, just to get her moving. It's very hard to watch so many people destroy themselves. It's the same pain watching people taking the jab, wearing masks, putting them into kids, putting that on the kids. It's very painful to watch and just feel so helpless. but then somehow it becomes my fault. I don't do enough, I don't help enough, I don't do anything. When you do stuff, you get spit in the face. So it's like, coming up. And the biggest thing is people's advice. There is the advice that comes from people who are close with their family, and there is advice that comes from people who are not. There's the judgment without knowing you, not without knowing what you've gone through, because it's irrelevant. They're the parents, they took care of you, they worked, they sheltered you, they fed you. That's it. That's all it is. That's all that's all they look at. They don't look at anything else. They don't want to hear anything else. They just immediately shut down that narrative. The moment you start talking, opening up, they don't want to hear it. Like people just want to talk at you for their benefit. That's why I don't even want to deal with people. It's like you never know when the topic can come up. It comes up all the time. People talk about their families all the time and they're like, well, how are your parents doing? And I'm like, fine. That's all I can say. They're fine. I don't know how they're doing. They're fine. They exist. They just exist. They're still here. There's nothing really to talk about. There's nothing to share that's pleasant. There's nothing to share. Like, what do you want me to tell you? My dad comes from work and then he sits, after he eats, just sits down and watches TV. That's what you want to know? My mom watches on the phone all day long like this. This is her all day. She falls asleep with the phone in her hand right now. I've never seen anything like this. This is like a junkie falling asleep with the needle in their arms. Like this. And I told her once, and her screen is very bright, like even in past, when I pass her, I can see the screen and it hurts my eyes. And I told her, like, if you're watching it this close and you have the light shining in your eyes cannot, it reduces the production of melatonin. That's why you can't sleep. She just keeps telling on and on and on how she only sleeps 2 hours a day. Well, it's because of this. It reduces the production of melatonin. So she started making jokes about it. So here's an example of how like there's absolutely nothing. People come out with, well, have you offered? If you want to help your parents, just, go on walks together, go exercise together, go to the gym together. Have you offered? What have you done to help? She doesn't want to do shit. Well, as a daughter, you need to offer, you need to help. People just piss me off. I don't know who pisses me off, general public or my parents, my family in general. Probably. Well, I can get rid of most of the public. I can't get rid of my parents unless I just completely like officially disown, where I don't have to deal with anything. That's not possible right now because I won't be able to learn my soul lessons if I just close off. It's like closing off your heart. Like my parents carry the bulk of my soul lessons. This is why this is so hard. It's like, this is where I learn all my biggest lessons. Oh. I feel that. It just feels like, can we just like get the lessons done? Like, can we just get it over with already? Like, how long is this shit gonna continue? It is so nauseating. It is so disgusting. It is just so non-stop nonsense and garbage. Just listening is the same shit every day. Sorry, that's my dog itching. We just like get all these lessons done. It's just unbearable. Just unbearable. And I also noticed that I'm less sensitive to the fact that there's just no love. I don't, it's like I always knew, but it hurt, and now it hurts less, but it still pisses me off that this bubble and energy of hatred that I felt since I was a child. Like I just literally felt like my parents hated both of us. I can see it in their eyes. I can hear it in their tone of voice. I felt like they hated being parents. And it's like with these kind of people, the truth, you'll barely ever hear the truth. But once in a while, it just slips out. And once, not out of anger, my mom said, like, I haven't had like a day of happiness since the birth of my kids. It just came out. And it was like, that's the truth. That is the absolute truth. And it doesn't hurt me because it's like, I know. But on the flip side, it's just like, she denies it. They both deny it. They can't just, the truth came out like as a slip up, not directly. If it came out directly, I'll be like, yeah, I know, I get it. I don't need you to love me. I don't need it. I don't even hurt so much that I didn't have love in my childhood anymore. I can release that. That's so much easier. The hardest part is the manipulation and the lying. Because no matter what, they'll say, we sacrificed our youth for you. I dragged a chicken from God knows where to feed you. Like, you didn't eat it? This is what he was telling me a few days ago. I work my butt. I go to the Bronx so you can have a house. This is your house. It's not my house at all. You tell me to get out. Clearly, you're not doing it for me. This has nothing to do with me. You're doing it for your pension. But you got to throw it in my face somehow to control me. It's like this lying is a constant thing. So it's like you have to like constantly catch it. Like you're full of shit, nonstop. And I wish I can just like, let's just be honest here. Let's just talk. Tell me the truth. You never cared about being a mother. You never wanted to be a mother. Society put you in that position because they're from Soviet Union and people did not have a choice. It's the truth. It's the reality. That was the reality. Why deny it? Why make shit up? Because it's taboo in my culture. It's like that's what I heard. Every woman should be a mother. Well, what about those that can't conceive? What about those that kill their own kids? They should be mothers. They should still be mothers. There's a lot of brainwashing. But can we just have an honest conversation here where you just say the truth and there is absolutely no consequence to it? Because like I already know, and the only thing that actually hurts me is the lying. It's the cover-ups, it's the manipulation. It's the playing the victim, playing my victim. Like I victimized them when I was a child. They blamed everything on me since I was a child. Well, you shouldn't have done this. Well, you shouldn't have done that. I was a child. Like there's no common sense here at all. The only time that I can actually tell them the truth is during a fight. And it's exhausting. I don't want to be yelling. I don't want to be fighting. I just want to sit down and get it all out. But it's impossible. It gets so defensive. They're always turning it back on me. All we need is the truth here. How do we get to it? How do we get to the truth? It's there, but how do we just have it out there on the table? I think my ranting, venting, I'll pause for now.